Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Wajeeha Khan. She is a RTT hypnotherapist and inspirational speaker. A beautiful one at that. I love your video. It's on Oxford Talks. Really, really, beautifully done. I love everything about it. The colors, your expression, and obviously the truth that you speak about in details, the stories. I made some notes here, and I will dive into it in a moment. But a question that I love asking my guests every time I meet them, it has been for 5 years now, the same question. But then recently just changed a bit, and I have been testing on different people, and I'll ask you the question with this modification. Um, how would you introduce yourself as of this moment without labels?
I'm a person who helps someone breathe, just breathe without any holding back. I facilitate people and facilitate that path of helping the person breathe without holding back. In simple terms,
I was about to say exactly that. I love the simplicity of it. It feels like just being. It just when you say breathe, I think about freedom and I think about being. Um, so, how do we reconcile? How do we align this being, doing, the idea of being free, but it's still limited in some ways when it comes to body, mind? Um, do you see do you see limitations when you think about this idea of breathing and of just being? Are there limitations there, or are we imposing limitations all the time?
in my experience, I feel like there is limitations there in the idea that I'm not being. A person may not be being because their mind and body are running in places or acting from a place that was never meant to be who they were. Usually I've found that people who have challenges in their life with anxiety or procrastination, depression, autoimmune diseases, any form, the breathing is not just being. There's something, and this could be any life challenges that you're having. You're not just being, because there's something else running that. And what is this something else? Is it yours, or was it something you absorbed when you were a child and it's still with you? It sounds simple, but it's not simple for everyone to just be.
How do we become aware? We become conscious of the fact that we are not being, that we are not being ourselves, that we are not carrying this sense of enoughness. So the topic of our conversation is the enoughness reset method. Unfold your emotional freedom. So within that, just stepping already into the core of the topic. What is the what is the first thing to recognize?
It's this never enough cycle that we have. It's not about feeling short, it's about what we believe we achieve and how we've been conditioned to measure our worth. And that idea of feeling our worth was something that we learned very early in our childhood, from either being subtly told or directly told that our worth was tied to something external, grades, approval, looks, productivity, be good, be quiet, be helpful, work hard, or prove yourself. And then that kind of becomes like a subconscious pattern. Over time, our mind then thinks or internalizes that that is our truth. If I'm not achieving something, then I don't matter. Or if I rest, I'm lazy. If I don't meet expectations, I've failed. And it kind of happens then that no matter what we do, it's never enough. Even when we accomplish something big, that feeling of relief tends to become temporary because that underlying belief is still there. We're still operating from that belief. It's like the goalpost keeps moving, and you start feeling like I need to do more, or I need to keep doing more. And then I find that in my experience, and I see that it then anxiety anxiety then gets reinforced in the person. Our brain is hardwired for survival. It's not hardwired for happiness. It scans, so it kind of just scans to see, obviously, for danger. And in today's world, the danger looks like not being good enough at work, basically means fear of being unworthy, not having it all together, fear of judgment, not being, not being perfect, fear of failure. So anxiety kind of just tricks us into believing that we just need to do more to finally feel good. But here's the truth. You've never been supposed to spend your life proving your worth. Your value isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. The reason we feel like we're falling short or we feel like there's this emptiness sometimes is because we're measuring ourselves up to an impossible standard. The real shift isn't about unlearning this belief that we are not enough, and because we were always enough in the first place. And I find that we just need to unlearn that belief because it was never ours to take on.
What does it feel like when, and what does it look like? How would you describe this state of being enough? I would love to hear the big picture of that state.
From my experience, and this is still a journey that I am on, it's being able to, my confidence isn't something I've earned, but it's giving myself the permission, and giving myself permission in itself is my confidence because it's mine to give. And I feel like the idea that I need to gain something external to feel better. I've had a personal my journey started from my own personal pain, and that was having challenges with fertility. And for a very long time, I truly believed that I needed to prove to society and family and culture that I could have a child because then it meant that I was fully a woman, that I could reproduce and have no challenges with that. And it really ate at me. And it wasn't until I started to realize that this can't be my life. I need, there's no way I believe in God. And I know that there's no way that I could be on this planet and him thinking that if people who didn't have kids, this is what they thought, or were not able to have kids, that this is what they thought. And that was that internal pain that started coming out because I was finding relief in the outside. Have a child. And then something dawned upon me when I that wait a minute, if I've given the ability, or this child, when I do have a child, the power of making me happy, what happens if the child decides to make me unhappy? That's He has the power. He or she has the power. And that was such a profound moment for me where I'm like, wait a minute, that can't be. I cannot give that key to anyone else. It has to be mine and mine alone. Not my partner, not my parents, or anyone else for that matter. And that was a very hard journey to start putting in boundaries for myself. I didn't want to say no before. And now, actually, I will tell you no because I don't want to do it. And I've had a lot of pushback from that. Call it selfishness, call it not thinking about others' feelings. Yeah, no, I've started to now serve people from my overflow, which is my saucer, not my cup. The cup is for me. And it's provided me the space to finally have conversations with myself, to see, do I want to do this? And why do I want to do it? And if I don't want to do this thing, why don't I want to do it? What does it make me feel? I wouldn't do that before. And I heard, I was listening to a podcast from Gabor Mate, and he was talking about when you don't know how to say no because you keep saying yes to everyone, eventually your body will say no. You will get something because your body is going to be tired of you putting it at second on the back burner because you're going to be giving everyone else your full ability to listen to them but not listen to yourself. And so for me, I can tell you that it has been a journey, but it's not that I've figured everything out. I am still on the journey. There was a point in life when I thought I went and killed that idea of I'm enough, I'm not enough. And I killed it in one part of my, like in this fertility part. I'm like, yeah, I am enough. Even if I'm not a child, I am enough. And then weirdly, down the road, when I was doing something with work, that feeling came up again. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I killed you. I killed you in that part. Only to realize that it's not, these are like layers. So how did I want to put myself up for putting in that question at work? Did I want to, at the time when I was working, do I want to ask for a raise? These are all underlying feelings of my worthiness. And unconsciously, I was just thinking, no, I shouldn't ask. But why? Because I didn't think I was worthy enough to ask for the raise or just put my question up for something that we should be doing, thoughts or whatever. Yeah, so it's not like one destination that I finally come to, but it has, the enoughness has allowed me to question what am I doing and where am I doing it and why am I doing it? Why to me now matters. And it's not to say that I won't do stuff to help people to, I need to help people. Yes, I'm going to help. But I can no longer do it at my expense. And I didn't know that before.
So when you speak about enoughness, it sounds like this very powerful knowing that I am unlimited, I am infinite, complete, whole, as I am. And then we kind of embody that for a moment. But then the next second, we have to deal with the limited reality of body mind. The body is always changing, the nervous system, and then we have the immune system. They're just kind of doing what they do. And the mind too, we have one thought after another, and we have no idea where they come from. I don't believe we create our thoughts. I think we're just receptors for thinking. But anyway, so do you see it the same way when it comes to that we are dealing in a way with two realities and trying to abide with one? It just doesn't quite work. So the idea is kind of to work with, bring two realities, the limited and the limitless together, or maybe somewhere in the middle.
I feel like when we go back and reset ourselves, we were never born with any of this stuff. There was stuff that were put on us. From my experience, when we've gone back, and for myself also, it was done on me, and I've done it for clients. When we go back and reset to who they were meant to be, then there can't be an internal conflict of being limited and limitless, because then you already feel content within. And it's like, I don't have a superpower, but I do I am a facilitator to reset someone. Like, I'm not giving them a gift. They already had it. They were born with it. It's just been forgotten. And when they remember who they are, who they were meant to be, before all that garbage that was put on them, then they naturally flourish because they're already strong from within. So then that internal conflict of feeling, it starts to change. And sometimes the shift can be immediate or it can be retroactive. Your behaviors start to change where I don't need to have that restlessness because I already believe that I am going to be okay because I am being and okay with me being as I am now. So I feel like it's that resetting that we just need to help people reset themselves to get that, to remember who they were. When they came into this world, they didn't come with any of that. So let's help them reset to then live that life that they were meant to be experiencing without all of this. And it's not to say that pain is not there. Of course, pain is there. That's part of life. But it's not a pain that is detrimental to your mental health, that eats at you slowly by slowly. So that I would feel like I don't see it as two separate things. I feel like if we can go back and take care of our inside, for, like look at the root cause of these things, reset, then we see the world in a very different way. And the world sees us in a very different way.
Yes, yes, a billion times to that. And I also like that you said that pain's part of life. We can't really try to not to feel, right? We have this is something that's part of the human experience, the
Yeah,
feeling what is happening now without rejection of what is.
yeah, because we wouldn't survive without pain. But if I didn't feel of pain by putting my hand in the fire, I wouldn't survive. It's pain that saved me in that. So pain is essential for us to survive.
You mentioned God before, and your I would say almost beyond believe, and it sounded to me like it's knowing, that knowing, you're coming from a place of knowing when it comes to the idea of what God is. So talk to me for a moment about that and how this view of spirituality that you have helped you on your journey.
I grew up with a very strict religious background. My father was especially very religious. And at the time when we were growing up, for some reason, I thought God was there to punish you. You know, if you don't do this, God's going to punish you. If you do this, then God will be happy with you. And you grew up with this idea that God must be some real, like, big person waiting to squish you when you do something wrong. And that was what I picked up as a child when I'd see the strictness of the religion. And it wasn't until I went through my own journey of my personal pain that I started to have a conversation. And the conversation was with myself, but then it started becoming an extension to actually speaking to God, to this higher being that I know I have a purpose. And I know we all have a purpose. I haven't understood mine as yet. And I have not even begun to understand my connection to the world and to humanity. And it was at that point when I started having just in prayers, and it didn't mean that I had to do the action prayers. I am Muslim by religion. So it didn't mean that I was actually going and praying in that form, but it was a sitting conversation in my mind of before going to bed or even during the day if I'm sitting, a conversation of my meaning and my purpose and what is it that what I believe that he is the creator, and I believe that nothing happens out of just nowhere. The way nature is, I truly believe that there must be a creator. The way you've seen how intricately everything is. And I had the idea that I got the feeling that every human being was put on earth because they were meant to be here and they matter. And even if I didn't understand what my purpose was at that moment, I knew that there was a protection. And I can't describe the protection in the form that I felt that I could jump and I would be okay. Because then I started getting this growth oriented purpose where I needed to expand my comfort zone, expand, and it started becoming my actions started becoming purpose driven. And it was all because of my internal pain and an understanding like, hello, you cannot be putting us on earth and put us on, there must be something else to it. And I must have a different purpose. And then I realized that yes, if I help myself and I'm happier by myself in my internal side, I will then behave differently to my partner. I will then behave differently to my colleagues or anyone else who I'm in contact with. And if I'm behaving better with them, the likelihood of them behaving like that with their partner or their whoever they're connected with. And I started connecting the dots to see, yes, we're all connected to this one universe. And I am each linked. So if I can help me and help someone else and cause their kids to have a better parent because the parent is now not anxious or not angry or whatever it is, then that's my purpose. And I don't have to have I don't have to be a mother per se, but there are so many children out there. Not, I'm not talking about adoption. Yes, that is there, but helping parents to better parent their kids. So yeah, it's spiritually, I have the connection and the belief that I'm okay.
Something came to mind when you said the idea of purpose, of having a mission, the sense of purpose and a mission, a calling. Um, At the same time, it feels like for some of us, it has been my case in the past, that it's connected to expectations too. And expectations will create anxiety, tension, pressure, and all those things. And perhaps might lead also again to the feeling of not being enough if we don't reach a goal, or we feel like we are not fulfilling this prophecy of having a purpose. So, and I know I talk to a lot of people, and some people do not try not to engage with the idea of purpose exactly for that reason. So they don't feel pressured to be or become something that they might not. So I would love to hear from you a little bit more. Like after this, the work of that you do as a hypnotherapist, and you have done yourself and with your clients. How would you what would you say to them when it comes to this sense of purpose and mission? Would you suggest that they have expectations but don't hold on too tight to them, or actually live a more free life in a sense of day to day sense of mission?
I don't tell clients how they should be living. That's not for me to say. When a client comes and they come with the presenting problem, it could mean I want to be able to not procrastinate or presenting problem of I can't sleep or depression or whatever it may be. And when we go through, we have an intake form and we go through it. At the end of it, I want to know, how do you want to feel? It's that feeling, because the thoughts create feelings, feelings create actions, and actions create results. So whatever that feeling, what they want to do in their life, I'm not here to make that path for you to let's go do that purpose of yours. I am here to get to that feeling that you want to have. And I'll always ask my clients of, what does not having these challenges look like for you? Tell me a day that you know will, how will you know when you don't have these challenges? And then they'll describe, I don't have a heavy weight on me. I'm uplifting. I'm walking straight. I'm able to go in gatherings without having a challenge because I can speak. Whatever that client may want to feel like without having those issues. And as a facilitator, I'm just taking them back to scenes that caused the block from them feeling what they want to feel today. And once that's unblocked and they can reset themselves up to their their original imprint when they came into the world, then how the client wants to take that and move forward by doing a purpose or doing what their passion, that is on them to carry forward. But usually when some of my clients have come through saying that they can't figure out what their purpose is, it's usually it's usually what you liked to do between the ages of 7 and 14. 7 because you started to understand who you are in this world, what you liked, what you didn't like. And 14 before the world snatched it away from you. World meaning parents, society, anything else with that. And it's in that sweet moment that you probably did what you really loved to do. Be it dancing, be it being in nature, be helping people, volunteering, whatever. And in my experience, I've found that my purpose doesn't have to be my full-time job. My full-time job can be my what pays for my livelihood. And I could still do my purpose that gives me the passion and the purpose, be it part-time or it could be on weekends, so long as I'm doing it. Because if I'm not connected to what I truly want to do, then I'm like, what am I doing? Helping the company that I'm working for just earn more money? Because I'm not feeling like at that one point I felt that. So yeah, it's not on me to give the client, let's go figure out your purpose. No, it's just resetting them.
I love the way you speak of feelings. So it starts with a feeling, and then a thought, and then action, and action will become something that we call outcome or the result. And I also love what you said. It's very insightful what you said about our mission, our purpose, our sense of aliveness. It doesn't have to become a full-time job. We don't have to make that a career or way of living. It could be a part job, part-time type of thing. So I never thought it that way.
I mean, it would be amazing if it was my full-time job. Great. But not everyone gets that. But that doesn't mean you don't live doing something that really calls to you. Yeah, like part-time, volunteer, whatever it is. But yeah.
Gosh, I have so many things here. I love the way you talk about something that I didn't know the name. I actually had forgotten about this too. The origami, I think emotional origami. Is that how you pronounce it?
Emotional origami.
Origami, yes. And you know what came to me when I saw, I was just looking at the images. They look beautiful. A lot of that, the art, that they made the paper look like a smiling face, really cute stuff, beautiful flowers. And then it just came to me like, wait a minute, that's exactly what we do. A lot of times we just put a smile on our faces and we put makeup on. Women, well, some people, other, everybody, I guess some other people do it too. And then we kind of, make ourselves to look presentable. So we become so so we are loved, so we are accepted, and that's a really sad thing. So the more I looked at those happy faces, cute faces, I just a sense of sadness kind of dawned on me, and that's the reality of it for most of us. Has been my experience too, of course, yeah, in life. So thank you for bringing that to our awareness. So how did you come across that metaphor of the origami?
It started off with seeing how I lived my life, a folded version. For most of my life, I lived crumpled, trying to fit into forms of expectations from parents, society, just work, just what I needed to do to present myself, to fit in and be liked. And it wasn't until I started having conversations with myself and digging more that I see that I was living a crumpled life. And for me, it was like, I need to unfold these layers and be the shape that I was always meant to be. And it's not something that happened overnight, but it is certainly something that has allowed me to finally soar through the belief that I'm no longer crumpled. I'm not refined. And now I just have to ask myself the permission. I don't need permission. And I've said it to my husband, like, you do you and I do me. I can't expect you to do stuff for me, nor can you expect me to do stuff for you. Great, we're two people, but we're two separate people. And I'm only responsible for myself. And when I've taken care of not living a crumpled life, I won't seek stuff from you that you shouldn't be having to provide for me, because I've taken care of that for myself. So M Origami, which is my business name, basically is emotional origami. It's allowing people and having people remember what who what shape were they meant to be, and are they that shape today, or are they some crumpled version or folded up version of themselves that they don't even remember who they are because they're living other people's expectations. So yeah, it's that's how it came up. Seeing my life being, a, I imagined a crumpled paper, and I folded that paper into a shape.
Do you feel that there's a moment in time that we become ready to look within and do the healing work and be open to something like this, hypnotherapy or anything else, to know ourselves, or it's just destiny for some of us not to open up, not to be fully alive in this lifetime?
From my experience, my personal and what I've seen with my clients, you can't help them if they're not ready. I couldn't. I could, no matter how much self help books I found, if I wasn't ready at the time, and I didn't take the action. So when clients do come with whatever presenting problem they have, one of the questions is this a now problem? If it's not a now problem, then you're wasting your time and money, and you're wasting my time because you won't put the work in. When the number is a 9 and 10, that's when we go forward. But if it's like a 6 and 7, we're like, okay, you're not ready as yet. The pain is you're fine there. They feel safer in the pain that they're in than to take the jump of change, which is unfamiliar. But until that pain, that the familiar gets so bad that the jump looks safer, and I will make that familiar to take the jump, that's when they'll jump. Otherwise, we're hardwired to stick to what's familiar. And familiar may be something that's not serving us, but it is familiar. So the client has to be at that point. Because then it's as if the client is finally listening to their own inner calling. Like, no more. We can't live like this anymore. We have to have change. And then there are some clients who know they want to have change. They just don't know how to do it. And then there are different steps that we would do to kind of, you know, have questions to start getting them to awaken to what could be different and start to see what can be different. Because before, they wouldn't even look to think that something could be different. It was, this is my life and I have no choice. So yeah, I think the client has to be in that point to have in anything for it to work.
Yes, you answer my question beautifully. It's not something that can be forced, manipulated, even wish, because we do have, like myself and my community and so many people that I'm around, we all want the world to become a better place, right? More peaceful place. We want people to uncover who they are and just come, just flourish in this lifetime. And I think that's the only thing we can be responsible for too, right? Wajeeha, just bringing forth this vision, this sense of home within ourselves, and then I think that can be transmitted to others. Like being in your presence feels really good. It feels beautiful, and like there's something here beyond words and concepts that I can feel within my body, mind. It can sense energetically. So I trust that almost more than anything else when it comes to healing methods. The presence of truth can be like fire in a way.
Yeah. And I feel like I do, in a sense that I know I can make an impact with the people around me. Used to start doing this thing where I know and I tell myself I'm in a story. So when I'm dealing with a challenge where someone is being a little challenging, I don't know the person, but clearly he or she is at the counter and being very difficult when they could just do it, but they're being difficult. And I'm like, I have to tell myself that I'm in a story. And how do I want to make this story? Because, hey, if I want to relate this story, I better be showing myself as the good one here. It literally takes away, it literally takes the charge in me away. So when the charge of because I know if she's or he or she behind that counter is being challenging, and I don't come with the same charge at them, but I come with, you know what, I'm in a story, so I'm going to behave differently. And the moment I start behaving differently, the reaction of theirs is different. And then, yeah, I can go ahead and tell the story to someone saying, yeah, this is what happened, and then I did this and whatever. Yes, there's probably a stroke of egoism there. But I feel like the moment I tell myself I'm in a story, my behavior changes and it then causes a ripple effect to the receiving person. And I would imagine that if I continually do where I'm not being reactive, and hey, it's easy to get reactive, but I've had to go back and question that, in this situation that I just had, like last week, I was annoyed at someone who showed up late, really annoyed. But then I started thinking, hey, there's a reason. My, how disproportionate was my annoyance? It wasn't annoying because the person, yes, he came late, great. But it came back from a feeling when I was a child. and someone repeatedly left me and that I felt unloved because they would never show up on time for me. And that's where my rage of came up now. So I feel like if we start to understand the root causes, I would react differently. I'm that like the person who showed up late, the plumber. Yeah, he showed up late, not the biggest deal, but I acted instead of acting like a 4 or 5, I acted a 10. That 10 belonged to little Wajeeha who felt unloved because a person close to her kept forgetting about her and would always be late. We can make our surroundings better by understanding ourselves and taking care of our inner child and then showing up differently to people around us. And I don't need to know the person, but my interaction with them can make an impact. And it's the story that makes me change because I've been in an airport sometimes and I can feel my nerve. And then my husband will say, "Hey, we're in a story." I'm like, "Yeah, we're in a story. Okay, so let's do this differently."
I love the story, the idea that we can think that way from that perspective, those lens of I'm in a story right now in a movie. So how I would like this character to unfold, to behave. I mean, that is just incredibly helpful.
You have to be the good one because you're going to repeat that story again, and you don't want to repeat being the difficult person. You're going to, be better or act without reactivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, this is something about intentionality. I think it has to do with intention. Yes. And you have said that intention really powerfully. I want to mention your website. We're almost at the end. So, emoorigami.co.uk. It will be clickable on a podcast note so that it's easy to find there. And I want to mention your services. Oh, yeah. So you do one-on-one rapid transformation therapy, hypnotherapy. Do you also work with groups and corporations? What do you have?
I do. I'm currently mentoring groups of with moonshot pirates. So these are kids between the ages of 15 and 24. And I have a set of kids, according to me, and doing group sessions to kind of, I feel like if we can help these younger generations change how they see themselves, it can change the trajectory of their life. So I do those groups. However, I usually do it. My clients are usually individual clients on Zoom, so around the world, or in person in London.
And before we say goodbye, is there anything that you left unsaid that you'd like to end the conversation with?
I would like to just say that your worth isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. And today is the day that you start remembering. The time is always now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Gosh. And we'll be in touch again. I would love to be in touch with you. And that's something that's in my vision. So thank you so much for your presence. And bye for now, Wajeeha.